Assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is Tariq Khan. I live here in Washington, D.C., and it is my distinct honor and privilege to present to you somebody I'm very proud of, my nephew-in-law, SAMEER ZUBERI, who lives in Montreal. He was born and raised in Montreal, and ultimately he remained very active throughout his teenage years and his 20s. And now I'm very, very honored to say that he was ultimately elected to be a member of Parliament in Canada, and he's been serving there the 2019. He took a small break at my request to come to Washington, D.C. To visit the family, and I thought it would be a great opportunity for all of you to learn a little bit more about it, his vision, his agenda, as it particularly pertains to Pakistani American community here and to Pakistan. So, despite his full agenda, he graciously agreed to come out today and talk to us, and it's just an honor. And with that, I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Tariq Uncle. Well, my name is SAMEER ZUBERI. I am here with my cousin, Rabbi ZUBERI, who's native of a local in D.C. I'm born and raised in Montreal, Canada. My dad migrated from Pakistan in the 70s and met my mom, who is Canadian. Her family has been there for many generations. I'm a Canadian story, like so many of you who are viewing this right now. You are an American story. I'm one of many different stories in Canada. Myself, I was born and raised in Montreal, in the French-speaking province of Quebec. As of 2019, I've been a federal member of Parliament in Canada, our House of Commons, which is similar to your Congress. We don't have a Senate, so we only have a Congress, essentially, which is our Parliament. I should rephrase that. We do have a Senate. Correct me. We do have a Senate, but it's not at all the same like your Senate. Your Senate here is elected and is a critical body, arguably the most important body of your politic. For us, the House of Commons is really where the action's at, so to speak. We do have a Senate. It is an appointed Senate by the Prime Minister. So that is, in a nutshell, a bit about Canada. Our population is approximately 1/9 the size of the American population, so we're nearly 40 million people. There are about 225 people of Pakistani descent of those 40 million. Most, as you likely know, are in Toronto, many in Montreal, Vancouver, other cities like Edmonton, Calgary, etc. Canadians of Pakistani origin play an important role in Canada's economy, society, and our social fabric. There are important people-to-people ties between Canada and Pakistan because of this community. Well, I'm the eldest of 6, born and raised in Montreal, to a mixed household. My dad's from Pakistan, my mom's from Canada, Ontario, and I was brought up. As many others, focused on my studies, set of friends, had extracurricular activities, but it was really in my university days that I started to get involved, and the path that I'm on now, more than 20 years on, started back in university. I served and came military part-time in our reserves, which you call the National Guard, I believe it is. It's the reserves. So I did that for 5 years while studying. Then I studied also at the same time mathematics. That was my first undergrad. I was involved in student politics at the time, which really got me the bug to be involved in the humanities and social sciences. After that, I graduated, taught English overseas in Kuwait for a year, came back to Canada, worked in a human rights organization in both media relations and human rights work. Did that for about 2.5 years. Got married, went to law school. While in law school, also was working in a law office on interesting files. Then after that, worked in McGill University in the Faculty of Medicine to promote diversity throughout the Faculty of Medicine. My job was to ensure that people who aren't normally in the medical field enter the medical field, such as black learners, people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, indigenous learners also. And so that was my work. Later on in 2019, I stood for elections in the governing party, the Liberal Party, the party of Justin Trudeau, and was successfully elected in a Montreal area riding, my home, where now I serve, and it's been 2 elections since that first adventure. And I'm happy to contribute to the Parliament and our social fabric.
Thank you so much. And one more thing, you did a lot of work, human rights. Can you describe some of your work?
Certainly. I became active after 2001, and so those of you who have been living in America since then know that in the wake of 2001 there was a lot of misunderstanding of who Canadian Muslims are, and those who are perceived to be Muslim. I worked on those issues, things like the no-fly list, things like people being falsely accused and being fingered because they were thought to be people who were unsavory characters in society. What I called for always was the presumption of innocence, the right to a fair and a process. This was the bulk of my work over the last nearly 20 years. I've worked in other files related to immigrants and refugees, people who do not have status, to help them enter a regularization process. I've worked on the issue of back then there was a war in Iraq. I helped, along with many others, to call for Canada not to be involved, and we were not involved, thankfully, in that conflict, in that war. So that's some of my early activism and some of my activism that was spanning many years. Today I work on the file of the Uyghur, which I hope that your viewers know about, which is a group of people currently suffering genocide. They're forced into concentration camps. This is something I ask if you don't know about to make yourself aware of. You'll find excellent videos on YouTube that go through it, excellent reporting in the New York Times and the BBC and other publications that really help illuminate the situation. But this is a desperate situation. I've been working on this also in the House of Commons. We had a successful vote to create a pathway to welcome 10,000 vulnerable Uyghurs from third countries, from countries like Turkey, Egypt, Saudi, Pakistan, the Stan countries on the western border of China too. As I mentioned earlier, I'm one Canadian story. You viewing this right now are many American stories. You can reach any height within America or Canada if you focus on your work with sincerity, with patience and perseverance. Patience in a sense that it takes some time to achieve your goals, but you persevere, you continue pushing, knowing that you can actually reach them. You may not reach them in the exact way that you hope and dream, but you will advance if you work hard. That is my key message, that you can do anything within American society with effort and with patience.
जी नाज़रीन, आप देख रहे थे समीर ज़ुबैरी को, और कैपिटल टीवी वाशिंगटन हमेशा उन पॉजिटिव पाकिस्तानियों को ज़रूर आपसे मिलाता है, आपसे इंटरव्यू कराता है, आपके सवालों का जवाब देता है। और समीर ज़ुबैरी जो हैं उनमें से एक हैं, कैनेडियन पार्लियामेंट का हिस्सा हैं, और पाकिस्तान को किस नज़र से देख रहे हैं हमने आज इनसे ये भी पूछा। इन्होंने काफ़ी सवालों के जवाब दिए। ह्यूमन राइट्स के हवाले से इन्होंने बहुत काम किया है। ये 17 साल के नहीं हैं, लेकिन इनका एक्सपीरियंस बहुत ज़्यादा है, और हमें ऐसे ही पाकिस्तानी लोगों की ज़रूरत है कि जो दुनिया में पाकिस्तान का एक पॉजिटिव इमेज जो है दिखाएं, क्योंकि हम जो हैं हमारा इमेज जो है वो शायद उस तरीके से नहीं दिखाया जाता।
Well, I think, Pakistan has a very young population, a population that has so much promise. And for me, I always have hope for the future. For me, the graph is up, always up. But the thing is that you always have to work to make things better. That is a critical thing. You can never assume that things will work themselves out. It's important to make a contribution, to make effort. And every act counts, including the small acts. So never underestimate the small acts and the big acts, but the small acts too are important.
Thank you so much, Sameer, and definitely.
You are watching Capital TV Washington.